Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to our first ever StreamYard Summit. So, we have a really exciting session for you today with very special guest Stu McLaren. Stu McLaren coaches and consults New York Times best-selling authors, top-rated speakers, experts, and niche celebrities on how to launch, grow, and scale high-profit recurring revenue streams. As the former founder of the world's #1 membership platform for WordPress called Wishlist Member, he had the chance to serve and support over 60,000 plus online communities and membership sites. Through that experience, he gained a unique insight into the subtle membership nuances that produce massive results. Today, Stu uses that knowledge to help his clients launch and grow multiple 6 and 7+ figure membership sites, and he shares the same blueprints on his website at tribeworkshop.com. In today's session, titled Connect with Your Customers, offering live Q&As, trainings, and conducting interviews using StreamYard, you will learn how to connect with your audience, offer live Q&A and training for your customers, and conduct awesome interviews, all while using StreamYard. Stu, the floor is now yours.
Awesome. Well, listen, thank you so much for having me. And I'm looking forward to diving right into this. So I'm going to start and open the presentation. Here we go. And we'll go there. All right. So hopefully everybody can see this okay. If you can, just let me know in the comments by giving me a TH for thumbs up if you can see it. But listen, gang, I'm excited to share this with you because we use StreamYard in our business virtually every single day. And we use it for all kinds of different purposes. We use it for live trainings. We use it for Q&As. We use it for interviews. And we use it to broadcast in a whole bunch of different locations. What I love as a presenter is that it is a very simple platform that isn't overcomplicated and with all the bells and whistles and now all the things that can potentially confuse you. And what it allows us to do is yet still create a really powerful and highly engaging environment to teach, to train, and to engage our people. So what I want to do is I want to walk you through how we go about using this and perhaps give you a few tips and tricks along the way. So first thing we're going to cover are best practices that we found to really set yourself up for success. We're going to talk about 3 simple strategies for highly engaging Q&As with your clients and customers. And we'll talk about how to turn your trainings into a must-attend live event. So let's talk about best practices to set yourself up for success. One of the things that I would encourage everybody to do is answer these 2 questions. First, what is the purpose of your broadcast? You got to get real clear on the purpose behind it because many times we're unsure and we go live and there are so many things that we could do to better prepare ourselves and our audience if we just know what we're looking to achieve from this broadcast. Second question that I always want you to get clear on is, what do you want your audience to do after the broadcast? Again, there's no point in just teaching or doing a Q&A or doing an interview if you don't have a specific purpose and action that you want people to take as a result of hearing you. So you've got to, sorry, my kids are just coming. You want to come say hi quick? We're doing a live broadcast.
Okay, bye.
Yeah. hashtag broadcasting from home, gang. Okay. So first things first, you got to get clear on number 1, the purpose of your broadcast. Number 2, what do you want people to do after the broadcast? The other thing that I encourage you to do is to get your assets ready ahead of time. So here's an example like from our StreamYard account. And you can see over on the right-hand side, I've highlighted where it says brand. So depending on what kind of broadcast we're going to do, we create different assets that make the broadcast a much more customized feel for our audience and our brand. So in this case, I'm showcasing here the live cast that we do each and every year. And we've, made this our own with our logo, excuse me, with a background, some of the colors, etc. So when you do this ahead of time, what's fun about StreamYard is that they've made it super easy, right? Like up at the top where it says Tribe Livecast, there's like a folder there. And so these are all the brand assets for that particular type of broadcast. And you can create multiple folders and multiple brands. So depending on your broadcast, you could just quickly switch and away you go. So what's fun about this is you do the work one time and now you've set yourself up for success for every single broadcast that comes thereafter. So we found this really helpful, especially because we do a variety of different types of broadcasts. Next thing I want to talk about are the 3 simple strategies for highly engaging Q&As. So one of the things that I always recommend is that if you can, you want to first and foremost get questions submitted ahead of time. There's a reason for this, and that is that will allow you to prepare your broadcasts in a variety of different ways. For example, did you know that with StreamYard, one of the things that you can do are to create banners, which basically displays a bunch of text on your live broadcast. Well, this is how we use this in Q&As. If we have questions submitted ahead of time, we actually go to the banner section. We create a folder for the particular date of that Q&A, and then we create banners to display the questions that were submitted ahead of time. So then when the question is asked, we can display it and everybody sees it in the broadcast. So that's an easy way, again, once to prepare, to set yourself up for success and to create more engaging Q&A so people can not only hear it, but they can see the questions that are being submitted ahead of time. Obviously, you want to prompt questions during the broadcast as well. So for example, as we are going through here, if you have questions about how we're using StreamYard, we're going to have a period where you can ask those questions. One of the things I'd encourage you to do is to, in the comments, just type in big cap letters, question, and then the question that you have thereafter. And this is an example of how we do it as well. So all throughout our broadcast, whether we're broadcasting live on Facebook or YouTube as an example, throughout the broadcast, I will say, if you have got live questions, type in all caps, question, and then after that, put the question that you have, and our team will be able to find those throughout the broadcast. And it also enables you to be able to bring those questions up onto the screen live as well, again, all using StreamYard. So the key there, though, is you've got to prompt those questions throughout. So if you got questions as we're going, make sure you ask, because we'll be circling around to some of those at the end. Thirdly, I always encourage you during any type of Q&A to ask participation questions throughout as well. So for us, we broadcast primarily on Facebook and YouTube. And all throughout, what I'll do is I'll ask questions that involve all of the audience. So for example, you noticed at the beginning, I said, if you can hear me okay, put TH in the comments, which was thumbs up. And that's a way where people will begin putting comments and letting me know that everything's good. Or I'll have questions throughout a presentation where I'll say, where people can vote on different things. And I'll say in the comments, put option 1 in the or option 2 or number 3. And so people are participating in the comments throughout the broadcast. And what that again does is it involves people in what it is that you are teaching so that people are engaged, they're paying attention, and they're involved in the broadcast. Plus, people love it when you bring their name and or question or their vote up on the screen or their comments up on the screen. And this is a way to engage them and get that engagement and therefore then reflect it back throughout the broadcast. So last point, how do we turn your trainings into a must-attend live event? Well, throughout our year, we, as I said, do a variety of different broadcasts. And, you know, at certain parts throughout the year in our business, we have promotional launches. So these are events that we want a lot of eyeballs on. We want people, you know, participating and attending these events. And there are a number of things that we do to really engage people ahead of time, create excitement so that people are showing up for these live trainings. So first and foremost, you have to create anticipation. So at a bare minimum, one of the things that I would encourage you to do are to use a lot of the StreamYard features that are built right in. Like when you're setting up your broadcast, schedule it ahead of time. So you'll notice that there's like a little checkbox there that says schedule for later. And I highly recommend you do that because, again, what does it do? It begins creating anticipation for your upcoming event. The other thing that I've highlighted there is the upload thumbnail image. I can't emphasize this enough. If you are going to schedule a upcoming broadcast, include some kind of a picture with it, because now what it does for us in particular is it stands out in the feed versus every other text type post that just gets like swallowed up. A image post, it pops and it's going to get people's attention. So, for example, when we do ours, like this is an example of one that we have scheduled. So we have a little bit of text, and then of course we've got the image, and you can see that people can get the reminder for this. And all of this helps create anticipation for these upcoming events. The other thing I recommend that's fun as you get closer to the broadcast is like StreamYard has the options to upload video clips. And by default, there's one there that's a countdown. So there's just lots of fun things that you can do right before the broadcast itself. So as people are popping on, it's creating excitement and anticipation. So for us, we often use the countdown. We often upload our own video clips, and then that lead into the live broadcast and just get the energy going prior to the broadcast itself. Second tip, as it relates to making your events a must attend, is being consistent, because consistency creates community. And what I mean by that is that, like, when it's the same bat time, same bad channel, everybody shows up. They put it on their calendar. So for us, we broadcast every Tuesday and Friday. And for us, a Tuesday is where I'm teaching a particular training. And on a Friday is where we are interviewing different guests. And so if you look at our schedule, you can see like we're consistent in this as we especially build up towards a particular promotion. Because the more consistent you are, the more community you will create and the more people will attend, because as each broadcast goes on, you begin to build momentum. And then for us, after each of those interviews, those just don't, fall by the wayside. We capture those interviews. We actually have a tool that we built called Searchy.io, and we capture those immediately from Facebook or immediately from YouTube, and then those go into a library where people can review those interviews down the road. And so, but the point of me sharing this is that, like, when you're consistent, then it creates momentum, and that momentum will lead to more people showing up to your events. Number 3 is I encourage you to broadcast in multiple locations. So again, when you're setting up the broadcast, make sure that you look to utilize one of the most powerful features in my mind of StreamYard, which is being able to broadcast in multiple locations. So we have multiple Facebook pages, we have multiple Facebook groups, we have YouTube channels, LinkedIn, etc. And so you can see here in this case, like, we select multiple channels when we are broadcasting, and that enables us to reach a bigger and bigger audience. And yes, we do. We have people from all these different channels who are attending the live broadcast. And P.S., I can't thank StreamYard enough, because this was the thing that brought us to StreamYard in the first place, because prior to this, it was so convoluted and so complicated to broadcast to multiple locations. Thank you, StreamYard, for streamlining our lives. But here you go. You can see here where our different broadcasts are going. Sometimes they're going to a couple different Facebook groups. Sometimes they're going to a Facebook group, a Facebook page, and a YouTube channel. So you can see we're always typically broadcasting to multiple locations. Last one that I want to give you as it relates to creating a must-attend live event is to have a very clear framework to use when you are teaching or training. A framework that makes it clear about what you're going to share and makes it easy for people to understand what you're sharing, and makes it clear in regards to what you want people to do next. So I'm going to share a simple 5-part framework for you that we use to teach anything, whether it's during our live broadcast, whether it's a podcast, YouTube channels, whatever it might be. But I also use this when we are interviewing people, because the same framework is what we want to capture in the stories of those that we are interviewing. So first and foremost is a hook. And the hook is the thing that's going to capture people's attention. It's going to grab people's attention and make them want to attend. So very seldom do I recommend that you just put, "come join me live." because nobody knows what that's about. Like, what are you going to be talking about? Like, you want to have a juicy hook. And what I mean by a hook is like something that's going to spark curiosity, something that speaks to a problem or challenge that they have, that they're experiencing, or something that speaks to a desire that they have. When you have a hook that's based around those, it's going to grab people's attention and they're going to want to attend live. Second part is a story. So whenever you go into a training, I always love to talk about a quick little story. That might be your own story, or it might be the story of someone else. But what it does is it makes what you're sharing relevant so that people understand how it is going to be relevant to them. Third, then you share the lessons. Like, what are you breaking down for people? And as much as possible, I like to keep it to 3 to 5 lessons. Any more than that, and you typically will lose people and or they'll forget much of what you have shared. So the tighter you keep it, the more it's going to land and the more value people will get. And in the long run, the more value people get from a broadcast, the more likely they're going to show up for a future broadcast. Number 4 is have a call to action. Again, what do you want people to do? Do you want people to share? Do you want people to link to something? Do you want them to click a button? Do you want them to, give feedback? What do you want them to do? There's got to be a next step. And then finally, summarize it all. Bring it all home and recap what it is that you shared in that presentation and or in that interview. So to recap here, we talked about the best practices we found to set yourself up for success. Number 1 is getting clear on those 2 questions. What's the purpose of the broadcast and what do you want people to do? The second thing that we said to set up as far as best practices is to make sure you have created your assets and uploaded them to StreamYard because it, again, customizes the broadcast just for you. Then we talked about 3 simple strategies for highly engaging Q&As with your customers. 1 was to get the questions submitted ahead of time and then use the banners feature of StreamYard to be able to display those questions. Number 2 was to get questions all throughout. And my hack is that I ask people to put in all caps question and then the question thereafter. And that way you can display those questions throughout the broadcast. And then the third strategy for highly engaging Q&As is to prompt, the broader questions for everybody to leave in comments. Engage them by involving them in the comments. The third area we talked about was how to turn your trainings into a must-attend live event. And there were a variety of things that we talked about here. 1 was to create anticipation. Schedule it ahead of time so that people see it and specifically use the thumbnail image so that it pops in the feed for wherever you're sharing it. 2 is get consistent. We are Tuesdays and Fridays every single week, and that consistency creates community that builds momentum. 3rd is broadcast in multiple locations. Again, you'll be surprised at where your audience is coming from, and when you broadcast in multiple locations, you're going to be able to reach them a heck of a lot easier. This is my favorite feature of StreamYard by far. And then lastly, use my 5-part framework for when you teach because it gives you an easy framework to be able to work from and makes it easy for your audience to consume what it is you're teaching. Remember, hook, story, lesson, call to action, summary. Okay, I'm going to hand it back to Kelsey and we'll take some questions as we go from here.
Stu, thank you so much for that awesome presentation. That was so engaging and really breaks it down in a very simple and approachable way. So I think that's really inspiring for everyone watching. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. Yeah.
Absolutely. So thanks for being here, everyone. We're going to move into a Q&A session now. So we already have some questions that you all have been asking throughout Stu's presentation. So I'm going to try and get to those first. But if you have any questions at the moment, just feel free to drop them in the Q&A chat box and we'll try to get to everyone's. So Stu, let's start with this. How often do you go live and how do you know what is the right amount?
Great question. And P.S., I want everybody to notice how we're using the banners that we just talked about. Okay,
yes.
So how often do we go live? So for us, it depends on what the purpose is. As we're building up towards a promotion, we're typically going to be going live a lot more. So as an example, for us, our biggest promotion of the year is actually 1 week away from when we are broadcasting right now. So we've been going consistent since January, every Tuesday and every Friday. Tuesday, I deliver some type of a teaching training. And Friday, we deliver a interview where we bring guests on for our broadcast. But we also go live in our private Facebook groups, and these are, our paid customers. So in our membership, I'm live once a week. I'm also live once a month in some of our other private Facebook groups. So again, it just depends on the purpose. If it's a deliverable for a paid program, we're typically live once a week and or once a month. And then as part of our consistent audience building and connection with our audience, we're live twice a week.
So it sounds to me like consistency is more important than frequency.
Yes, and just getting clear about the purpose of it, right? Like, in the beginning, it's very much about just getting comfortable and getting consistent with your audience so that they are coming back and they're showing up. And then from there, it just depends on what what you're looking to do. Like, again, back to the purpose. If it's a deliverable for our clients, then there's a schedule for that. And if there's a purpose in terms of a promotion, then there's a schedule for that as well.
Fantastic. The next question is, how did you come up with those two pillar questions that you ask your clients off the very top? What is the purpose of your broadcast, and what do you want your audience to do after?
Yeah, for those I'm not asking necessarily our clients those questions. I'm asking us internally so we get clear. So this is where, our team, we get clear on like, okay, what's the purpose of this interview that we're doing? Like, we don't just want to create content for the sake of creating content. This is a really important nugget that I want everybody to take home from this. Don't just create stuff for the sake of creating it. Get clear on like, what's the purpose? Like, how is it going to make somebody's life better or different? Once you get clear on that, then what you do after that, becomes obvious. Like, do you need to get questions ahead of time to make that more engaging? If it's a Q&A, or if it's an interview, are there assets you can create and upload to StreamYard to make the broadcast better, like the person's name or website or whatever it might be, or logos? So there's lots of things that you can do ahead of time once you get clear on the purpose of why you're doing this and what do you want people to do as a result of the broadcast.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's very helpful. Thank you for that clarification. Next question. We have a viewer who wants to know, where do you create your broadcast backgrounds, Stu?
Well, these are created by our designers, and so I actually don't know the answer to that. Other than I know that they are images that we upload to the brand asset section in StreamYard. So
Yeah.
I would just double check with the StreamYard tutorials, and that's how we learned, like what size it needed to be and how to frame it up. But
Totally.
I highly recommend, because they do, like, if you even look at this broadcast, like, look at the beautiful background that you guys have here. Like, that's intentional, right? And it adds a different feel to it. So again, the more intentional you get ahead of time, the better the broadcast becomes.
Absolutely. And for people who don't have a team or are kind of just working on your own, there's a couple of sites that I know of, canva.com and figma.com. If you're just kind of getting started, you can create super dynamic backgrounds like Stu was talking about that really add to your stream. Okay, next question. Can you do polls during a live broadcast? And do you have any advice on how to accomplish that, Stu?
I just do exactly what I teach. I don't necessarily do polls, but I ask people to respond to questions in the comments. So I will say things like, of these three options, 1, 2, and 3, which one appeals to you the most? In the comments, let me know. Number 1, number 2, or number 3.
Yeah.
And the reason I like doing that versus a straight up poll is because it gets people back, and they're engaging, number 1. But number 2 is I can highlight anybody's response. So I could say, oh, Kelsey, you picked number 2. Tell me more. Like, why'd you pick number 2? Whereas most polls are blind. You can't see, what people are saying or responding. The other thing that I like about that is oftentimes when people will pick an option, sometimes they'll say some other comments afterwards that, again, just add a little, fun and engaging moments throughout the broadcast. And so I like asking people to leave it in the comments. But the key thing here is that you make the options clear. So in your training or whatever it is, you're clear about option 1, option 2, option 3. And typically what I'll do is I'll give them a number to leave in the comments or one word to leave in the comments so that people can do it quickly and you don't lose momentum in waiting for people to respond.
I think that's fantastic, especially because there isn't a traditional polling feature built into StreamYard. So if you were to do a different type of polling feature, you'd have to use another website in conjunction with your live stream. But the way that you're talking about, everything can happen on your live stream in the comments, and it just really like focuses that engagement.
Yeah, and this kind of speaks to a point, Kelsey. Like, I'm really big on just keeping things simple.
Yeah.
Like we can overcomplicate things, and P.S. This is why I love StreamYard because it doesn't overcomplicate things. It does just enough to make it amazing, but it's super simple. And this is the key. Like, you don't want to get caught up and distracted by all the things that you can do and going in a million and one different directions. You just really want to focus on like why you're there and who you're there for. And for me, it's the audience. And if we're looking to use polls to engage them, just get them to, leave comments. Like, that's, as simple as it can be. And plus it creates that social proof of like all these people participating. So that's why I love doing it that way.
That's fabulous. We have a few more people just asking the same question. What cam and mic are you using? Because you sound and you look fabulous.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm using a simple Logitech webcam. The key thing though is lighting. So, I've got, lights above me. Here, let me see if I can, this might be a little janky, but okay, here we go. So you can see I've got light there, and then I've got a ring light here. So we're going really behind the scenes here, but, and then I have this is my Audio Technica AT2020 mic. So I just have it on a stand. It's just kind of out of the shot, and it's like right here by my mouth.
Fantastic. Well, that's awesome. Stu, we are just out of time, but I wanted to throw it back to you for any final thoughts. Thank you for answering those questions, and we'd love to hear any final things you have to say.
Yeah, thanks, Kelsey. Listen, gang, I just really want to encourage you because going live can sometimes be intimidating. But what I can tell you is that the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. And your first live is going to be your worst live. But from that point forward, you're going to get better and better and better. I just really want to encourage you to set yourself up for success. Get the things uploaded to StreamYard ahead of time and keep it super simple. Remember, we all start from somewhere, right? But we get better and better over time. And my encouragement to you is get comfortable and start and get consistent. And when you do, you're going to not only create a ton of momentum, but you'll have more and more people showing up for your broadcast, which however you want to carry that momentum, whether it's for product sales, whether it's for building communities, whatever it might be, you're going to get that momentum from showing up and being consistent. Those are the big takeaways that I hope everybody gets from this whole summit. And I just want to thank StreamYard for having me. Kelsey, thank you so much. And for the team behind the scenes, really grateful for all of you.
Thank you so much, Stu. Thanks for being here, everyone. Thanks for watching. If you want to know more about Stu McLaren, you can find him on his website at www.tribeworkshop.com. And you can also connect with him on social media at Stu McLaren.